Thanks for tuning in, folks. Whether you're viewing live or if you're viewing later, we appreciate your viewership. Looking at the sun and 171 angstroms, we see that active region setting on the western limb, located at my pointer. So we see the magnetic loops associated with that. We see 0 sunspots, fairly low levels of solar activity, and let's get straight into it. By looking at the real-time solar wind, see a sputtering phi angle, a couple spots that look like a coronal hole connection there. Let's go back and look at the 193 angstrom view, as it shows coronal holes better than 171. So we see a bit of a field of coronal holes here forming. Anyway, solar wind density has come down from yesterday to 7.84 protons per cubic centimeter. And we see a solar wind speed of 430. So as forecasted yesterday, we see a downtick in the solar wind density and an uptick in the speed, indicating a coronal hole wind stream in which you are currently located. Let's look at the magnetosphere movies. First, the density. We'll let that play all the way through. So no major striations there, as we've seen a fairly steady density over the last 24 hours. This is 4 hours of data, by the way. And here's the pressure. So nothing too extravagant there. We see the majority of the pressure is on the bow shock at this part of the movie. Now equalizing out in the middle. With similar pressure at the magnetotail. And so nothing too extravagant there. A little bit of fluctuation toward the end, something to watch throughout the day. Let's look at the ground magnetic perturbations over the globe. These are the changes in the B field, folks. And for those of you not aware, we actually have 2 north poles right now, the average of which is out here east of Greenland. And there is one in Siberia, which appears stronger, and a weaker one over Canada, which is migrating toward, I want to say, Hawaii, or perhaps the west coast of South America, while the South Pole is migrating up toward Western Australia into the Indian Ocean. If you weren't aware, we prefer to be wrong about this. However, we're right about this. So it's not something we appreciate reporting on, but we do because it's kind of important. Let me bring out the chat here, as I forgot to do so. We've been having some quality interactions with our live viewers. Thanks for tuning in, Harry and Eden, and for all your hard work, smAsho staff. We assure you, smAsho staff, when the YouTube channel makes any money instead of 0 money, you will be cut in. Put us on the record. Let's talk about smAshomash.org, as we have a mission, and the mission is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects, as lots of folks don't believe that space weather has anything to do with Earth weather. Also, to connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon, and to not be ossified in our beliefs. So please support us in any way you can. Now, let's look at some financials early in the video, as we have no format and we talk about whatever we want. So first we're going to look at CNBC markets here. Here's the 1-year chart of Bitcoin. There's the current state of affairs with Bitcoin. Not going to comment too much on it. And I'm going to also show the Coinbase quote for Ethereum. If I can click on the thing that I'm freaking trying to click on. Let's try again to simply click on something. I love web pages that scroll on their own. Don't you? Please leave a comment. Please interact with our videos, as the algorithms are ridiculous. And if you think we're making money, let me reiterate, we make nothing from YouTube. 100% of nothing. Here's the Ethereum chart for 1 year, very similar to Bitcoin. Let's look at some junk. I mean, stocks, US equity stocks, that is. Here's Facebook. Let's go to the 1 year chart of that. There's the 1 year chart of Facebook. I would note that right around this area, we were getting censored by Facebook. Sorry about your 52-week lows, Mark. How many billions did you lose? Let's look at some other junk. I mean, stocks. Here's Apple. There's the 1 year chart of Apple. Another company attempting to ruin the internet. Here's a 1 year chart of Alphabet Class A, which is the parent company of Google, which in 2015 has attempted to hide its identity by becoming a subsidiary of a company called Alphabet. So if you're not familiar with Google, please read up on it. The leading company attempting to ruin the internet. If you're using Google as a search engine, you're not getting objective results. And in a personal anecdote, just about a month ago, Google called me to shake me down for $350 to, quote, get my search listings set up correctly. An obvious indication that Google takes payola to put your websites at the top of their search results list, which means they are not objective. They are cheating the internet, helping China institute social credit systems by creating the Firefly browser. If you're not familiar with that, please look up the Firefly browser using DuckDuckGo.com, an objective search engine, one completely dissimilar to Google, a corporate nonsense political propaganda engine who's attempting to ruin the internet. Let me reiterate, Google is trying to wreck the internet. Fortunately, there are too many smart people writing code preventing them. Screw you, Google. Transcribe that. Here's some Twitter stock. More bunk nonsense. Another zombie company bent on leftist control of the universe. And there's the current state of affairs with Twitter. Some candid notes. It looks overvalued to me because it's crap. Let's move on to our affiliate, Hemp Lucid. Something that it's actually worth spending your money on, CBDs, as our Spaced Out campaign is designed specifically for our spaced out viewers. So if you're interested in buying such products, please do so and help support the channel. As to reiterate once again, YouTube pays us nothing. Now, YouTube's been owned by Google for a long time. And, well, let's just say they're not going to succeed at ruining the internet. Let's just put it that way. So please support the channel. Open up your moldy wallet, let the moths fly away, and contribute some cash. Also visit the cycling sponsor, which is theveloshop.net. Let's talk about world-class athlete Kim Geist, who's won World Cup points in the past 2 Friday nights, winning the overall 2 weeks ago, and this past Friday winning the Madison. Shout out Kim Geist and Christina Birch for winning the Madison. My favorite hand holders. If you're not familiar with the Madison is a track racing event where it's legal and indeed basically mandatory to arm sling your teammates. So check out Kim Geist Coaching. Links in the description to her Instagram page. We're looking to raise some money because I've got to get a new bike in order to do the mileage I need to do. And we're already to 1% of the goal. So again, please visit links in the description below the video and support me and the team. If you want to be on the jerseys, please email me at smAsho@gmail.com. Check out the original music also in the description, such as Golden Cat Productions, which we have rebranded so that our YouTube viewers understand that it is me and our record label. So if you want some original music, not tainted by corporate nonsense, please visit those links too. The SoundClick one has the more highly produced music, and the SoundCloud one has the more raw stuff. Please visit links. Let's go back to the sun and talk about the 10.7 centimeter radial flux, which is a pretty identical proxy to sunspot number in terms of determining solar activity. 10.7 centimeter radial flux is back up to 70 solar flux units, well above predicted values during this solar minimum. And it really is a solar minimum, folks. Look at spaceweathernews.com. As our spaced out viewers are probably aware that this is one of the better sites. Shout out Ben Davidson. Let's do an interview sometime soon. X-ray flux is utterly flatlined. Magnetometer's got a spike right there at the bottom. Check it out. And there's some disparities in the data. It looks like maybe a little missing data there. Not too sure. Don't want to conjecture. Let's move on. KP is rising right now as there is some activity coming in as shown in the magnetosphere movie. So it's something to keep an eye on. KP has gone from 0 to 2 in the past 9 hours. Electron flux still very low as it's been for several days. Charging hazards are non-existent as you would expect. F2 ionosphere layer is extremely discharged. Even on the daytime side, we're only at 8 megahertz for the F2 layer. So look for some drastic changes in this. Again, spaceweathernews.com does have links to this. If you just click on the image, you'll get that view. And this updates very rapidly. I'm considering the idea of creating animations as to how this evolves. I'm not sure if anybody's done that yet, but the F2 map measured at the F2 layer. Aurora forecasts are pretty average. Let's move on to the Gong 2. Looking at the magnetic environment of the local heliosphere. This is stereo A. This is stereo B. And unless you're watching from a different planet, this is where you're probably located on Earth. If you're viewing the videos from a different solar system, planet, galaxy, or universe, please leave a comment. And for those who are on Earth, welcome to the South Pole oriented polarity field. As we are now in the red portion here, and there is no end in sight, as there's a huge disparity between the solar polar fields, and we're not going to get into it any more than that, but we are going to look at the stereo A coronagraph, as there's been a plasma plume which has now begun to set. So it's not anymore visible from stereo A. We will actually get a better view from Earth-based coronagraphs, or Earth region-based coronagraphs. So recently we've seen a plasma plume in this area. For those new viewers out there, the Earth is out in this direction. From this spot, stereo A is located 4 months behind the Earth. orbiting the sun. No coronal mass ejections to report on there. Here's the location of planets and so on. I would note that stereo A is located about here. And stereo B is somewhere over here. Advance this 1 week. We'll be in a waning moon. Here's the situation above my head right now. I've drawn in the ecliptic. Jupiter's about to set. Saturn will set soon, and Venus has just risen. If you've got a low horizon and you're up before dawn, go check it out. Pretty good. Follow us on social media. If you weren't aware, we're on Twitter. We're on Facebook, where we get censored. Not sure if we get censored on Twitter, and I don't really care. Also on Instagram, some more personal stuff, such as back here when I used to go boating with Jack. Also on Gab, gab.com/smashomash, and minds.com/smashomash, the social media site that will not censor you. So check us out there. We've only got 455,000 views. Maybe we'll have to do a 500,000 views special. Check out minds.com, the legit social media that is not in the pockets of a bunch of BS. We've lost a few more subscribers on YouTube. I'm not sure if it's because people are mad about the fact that we expose the fact that global warming isn't real. Climate change is, and we prefer our viewers to understand the difference. So please press like and subscribe on this particular video, and stay tuned because there's more stuff to cover, such as earthquakes. Let's just hit refresh, as I don't trust the USGS. Anyway, here's a 4.4 at the East Pacific rise off the western coast of South America. Here's a 4.2 at Japan, an area that's been in the warning crosshairs. Here's a 4.7 at Vanuatu at depth. Shout out Vanuatu. That's a deep quake. You could be at risk for larger quakes at the surface. Here's a 4.0 at Greece. The Antipoda, Fiji. Enough said. Here's a 4.1 at Iran as the Middle Eastern quake swarm continues. We've been seeing about 1 quake per day of a 4+ magnitude in the Middle East for the past several weeks. Here's a 4.6 at Indonesia. And I have a very high lung capacity, which is why I'm able to talk so long without taking a breath. Here's a 3.4 right in my backyard, which I didn't feel today. Mifflintown, Pennsylvania. Check it out. Near Harrisburg. Shout out Carlisle and other viewers. Let's look at the shake map. There's where the reports are coming in, I think. Wow. 3.4 in Pennsylvania. Now, for you new viewers or irregular viewers or whatever you are, I'm located in Lehigh Valley, PA. So that quake was at 26.7 kilometers depth. Not right at the surface, but not deep. Here's a 4.8 at Japan. Looks like the largest quake of the past 24 hours was this 5.6 at the southern mid-Atlantic ridge. An odd location for quakes, although recently we've been seeing quite a few. Here's a 4.8 at Guatemala. Heads up Guatemala for a larger quake at the surface, as that is a 204-kilometer depth quake. Here's a 5.2 at Tonga, the antipode of Greece. Let's look at pressure maps, as anomalous low pressure systems can portend earthquakes. We're going to let this play through as we highlight the most earthquake-prone regions and bring out the chat for a quick moment. So here's a current situation. I'll let that play through. If you are in an earthquake-prone region, please have an earthquake plan, a bug-out bag, stuff like that. Know what buildings may fall down if you step out your front door, as cities are the most dangerous places in an earthquake. Building facades sometimes crumble and land on your head, so be aware of that before it happens. and try to be an asset as opposed to a liability in the event of a disaster, as you could save people's lives. Here's the US Doppler radar, and there's a stagnant set of heavy rain above my head right now, which I'm not appreciating. There's also some heavy storms over Florida. We're going to zoom in on that real quick. An interesting convergence there. Let's give it the full Monty before we move on to other stuff, because there's still quite a bit of stuff to cover, such as butts being slapped in Russia. It's not just faces anymore, folks. It's butts. And we're going to cover it. Not very in depth because it's silly. So we'll just let this play through. Actually, I'm going to bring up another one here because this looks interesting too. So a system developing there into Montana. Not going to really get all into it because shout out David Schlottower. That's your job. That's your job, bud. As the jet stream dips down here into the U.S., more cold air is going to be hitting the central states. Let's hope some planting has been done. As we know, there are crop losses all around the world, so expect your food prices to rise, folks. Even though this channel has been predicting it for nearly 3 months now, that is this year. Please be prepared for your food prices to rise, as it is a foregone conclusion. Invest accordingly. Thanks again for tuning into the live stream, folks. We greatly appreciate it. Just trying to get through the chat here. Pardon the dead air, as I can't talk and read very well at the same time. I can write upside down, though. I was an insurance agent who was licensed in 49 states, believe it or not. If you think I don't understand regulatory rules, then you're mistaken. Anyway, we use the water vapor map to realize what's going on in the upper atmosphere, as your Doppler radar may not show you. So look at water vapor maps. We see a bunch of lightning in the Gulf of Mexico right now, as well as around the southern Mexico region. Nothing to really write home about there. Here's the weather.gov warnings. We still have runoff from the Rockies, creating lakeshore advisories. There's all kinds of flooding still going on across the U.S., folks. So again, be prepared for your food prices to rise. Massive hailstorms are still hitting Slovenia and other parts of Europe, causing major damage. We're talking about up to 5.5-inch hail here, volleyball sized. And again, food prices. Volcano rundown. Kluchevskoye back on the list, located on the Kamchatka Peninsula, producing a 22,000-foot ash plume. Shiveluch, 13,000-foot ash plume there. Sakurajima, 9,000-foot ash plume there. Dakono, 7,000-foot ash plume there. Mount Agung, explosive activity continues. And if you think a 30,000-foot ash plume is discrete, you've got another thing coming. Pavlov on the Alaskan Peninsula, now on the list, although returned back to a alert code of green. So seismic activity has declined to background levels. Pavlov on the list to indicate that it's off the list. Popocatépetl, possible emissions, which is located in central Mexico. And Revenador, please do not attempt to do a backflip over Revenador, as it's producing a 15,000-foot ash plume, and you will become part of the atmosphere. Move on to that is an ass, and that is a hole in the ground portion of the live stream. Let's define a term: scavenger. 1. Chiefly British, a person employed to remove dirt and refuse from the streets. 2. One that scavenges, such as a garbage collector, a junk ideas collector, a chemically active substance acting to make innocuous or remove an undesirable substance, or an organism that typically feeds on refuse or carbon. Now, not all politicians are scavengers, but some politicians are extreme scavengers. And while a vulture may be a useful organism, some organisms only prey on the ignorant brain dead, which is bad for the environment. And here ends today's wildlife lesson. Don't forget to proposition your government to put some really nice chandeliers in the subways, because unless we have Soviet-style chandeliers, we will never become a modern democracy. By the way, the US isn't a democracy. It is a constitutional republic. Don't be an idiot or a vulture. We're going to skip transients, and we're going to move on to tankers struck in suspected attacks in the Gulf of Oman. Links in the description below the video. Oil prices surged 4%. And apparently, these Norwegian tanker was hit by a torpedo, apparently. And the other one reported a surface attack. So I'm not sure if somebody hurled a thermite balloon onto their deck or whatever happened there. But anyway, links to the Reuters article. Now, if you'd like objective search results, please head to duckduckgo.com, the search engine that doesn't track you. And it of course returns objective search results, unlike companies that try to shake you down for money in order to put you higher on search results. Now, I've done a Google search already and had to look 12 pages deep while searching for the URL of a page that I was looking for. And it wasn't political. It was just to purchase some sort of industrial supplies. DuckDuckGo doesn't store your personal information, ever. It doesn't follow you around with ads. And it doesn't even track you in non-private browsing mode. So check out duckduckgo.com if you want real search results instead of nonsense. Meanwhile, in Russia, everybody knows dudes are slapping each other. But were you aware that chicks are slapping each other's butts? Well, here's an article from Zero Hedge. There's apparently a world championships of butt slapping now. I don't know why you would care, but we'd like to include some crucial public interest stories. Let's look at 9 hours of the sun. If we can get the colorized magnetogram, I would really appreciate it. But we can't. So let's look at 304 angstroms, as there have been some filamentary activities going on, and 304 is a good choice to see them. This is 9 hours of solar activity. As you can't see the date stamps, we're going to bring out the chat, and then we're going to exit this live stream promptly. So thanks for tuning in, folks. Thanks especially donors. Please do what you can to ensure that the channel continues to exist, as our shoestring budget is far from sustainable. So please visit links in the description, press like, subscribe, etc., share on your social media. Stare at the sun, since it'll never be now again. And when you're staring at the sun, remember, don't drink. And if you do drink, stare at the sun anyway. Just don't drive. And in closing, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.